Level 1, the recruit. You stand naked, 50 other men beside you. The stone floor is cold. Your feet are already numb. The centurion walks the line. His face carries 3 scars. One runs from his left eye to his jaw. He stops at each man. He checks teeth. He checks hands. He checks the muscle across your shoulders. You keep your eyes forward. That is the correct answer. The man beside you shivers. The centurion notices everything. He moves to the next candidate. Your heart pounds against your ribs. The torches flicker on the walls. Smoke fills your nostrils. You smell sweat and fear. Someone coughs. The centurion turns. His eyes find the source. That man is finished. You do not move. You do not breathe deeply. You wait. The examination continues for 2 hours. Your legs begin to shake from standing still. The centurion reaches you. His hands are rough when he grabs your jaw. He turns your head left and right. He studies the alignment of your nose. A crooked nose means you have been broken before. That could mean experience or weakness. He decides which. His fingers probe the muscles along your arms. You have worked construction in the provinces. Your calluses tell that story. He nods. That counts for something. 20 men are dismissed before the physical trials begin. They dress quickly and leave through the same door they entered. You will never see them again. The remaining 30 face the running test. You circle the courtyard of the Castra Praetoria 12 times. The distance equals approximately 2 miles. Men begin to fall behind after the 8th lap. The centurion walks in the center. He watches each stride. He notes which men favor a leg. He sees who struggles with their breathing. You finish in the front group. Your lungs burn, but you show nothing on your face. The strength trials eliminate 8 more. You lift stones, carry water jars, and hold a wooden gladius above your head until your arms scream. The blade weighs 4 pounds but feels like 20 after 10 minutes. Sweat stings your eyes. You blink it away. The man next to you lowers his arm. The centurion dismisses him immediately. You hold the position until instructed to lower your weapon. Your shoulder throbs for the next 3 days. 15 men remain when the centurion speaks your names aloud. Your new identity begins with those syllables leaving his mouth. You are no longer Marcus from the bakery in Ostia. You are Recruit Marcus. Your former life becomes something you owned once, like a childhood toy. The centurion assigns you to a contubernum of 8 men. These will be your tent mates, your mess partners, your brothers, until one of you dies or retires. You will share their diseases, their debts, their secrets, and their enemies. Your first meal in the barracks is barley porridge and sour wine. The portions are larger than what you ate as a civilian, but the taste is worse. You learn to appreciate quantity over quality. The veteran guardsmen eat at separate tables. They wear the distinctive scaled armor you hope to earn. The metal catches the lamplight as they move. You study their bearing, their confidence, the way they carry themselves like men who have stood beside gods. Your sleeping space is a straw mattress in a room with 7 other recruits. The walls are stone. The single window faces north, away from any warming sun. You lie awake listening to the sounds of the camp. Footsteps on stone, distant conversations. The occasional shout from the walls. This is your world now. Every sound, every smell, every moment of discomfort serves the same purpose. You are being unmade so you can be rebuilt into something Caesar can use. A new group of candidates arrives tomorrow morning. They will stand naked in the same line. One of them believes this is the beginning of his glorious ascent to power and wealth. Level 2, the probationer. You survive the initial screening. That counts for something. Now you learn what survival actually costs. The leather harness cuts into your shoulders during morning drills. 20 pounds of mail, gladius at your side, shield arm already burning from holding formation. The veterans watch you stumble through sword work like your entertainment. Maybe you are. Your bunkmate from the countryside throws up after his first urban patrol. The smell of Rome hits different when you're fighting through it in armor, watching faces that either fear you or hate you. Sometimes both. You learn to read crowds the way farmers read weather. A shift in the air means trouble. Training consumes your days. Sword work until your wrist locks up. Shield wall practice until someone's nose breaks against your rim. Close quarters combat in spaces so tight you taste the other man's breath. You discover muscles you didn't know existed through the specific pain of each new exercise. The centurions test you constantly. Not just your blade work or your endurance. They want to see how you handle information. Who talks too much after wine? Who asks the wrong questions about why certain senators visit the palace at odd hours? Who understands that hearing things and remembering things are different skills entirely? You fail your first assignment watching a grain warehouse. Fall asleep for maybe 20 minutes before dawn. Nothing happens during those 20 minutes. No one breaks in, no grain disappears. But the centurion knows anyway. He always knows. You spend 3 days mucking out the horse stalls, thinking about how 20 minutes of closed eyes just cost you a week of advancement. Your hands develop calluses in new places. Not just from sword grip anymore. From the specific leather of your gear. From the bronze fittings that rub against your palm during long watches. Your feet reshape themselves inside military boots. Blisters harden into permanent thick spots that will mark you as a soldier for life. Letters from home arrive less frequently. Your family's problems feel distant now. Crop failures and village politics exist in some other world. Your world is duty rosters and watch schedules, and the specific weight of armor after 12 hours of wearing it. You write back less often. Find you have less to say about your days that wouldn't get you flogged for talking. The city reveals itself differently at night. You walk routes through neighborhoods you never knew existed. Watch wealthy Romans stumble home from dinner parties while beggars sleep in doorways 20 feet away. Learn which streets flood when it rains, which buildings have too many exits, which crowds form for entertainment and which ones form for blood. Money improves slightly. Not enough to matter, but enough to buy better food than army rations. You discover wine that doesn't taste like vinegar, bread that doesn't require strong teeth, small luxuries that remind you what you're protecting by serving here, and what you're missing by serving here. Other probationers disappear quietly. Failed some test you didn't know was happening. Showed the wrong kind of interest in the wrong conversation. Demonstrated loyalty to something outside the guard. One morning, they're just gone. Their gear redistributed. Their names never mentioned again. You learn to sleep in armor. Not just wearing it, but truly sleeping while metal rests against your ribs. Your body adapts to weight that would have crushed you months ago. You wake up ready to fight before your mind fully engages. That transition from unconscious to combat ready happens faster each week. The palace grounds become familiar territory. You know which doors stay locked, which gardens the emperor favors, which hallways echo footsteps differently. Knowledge accumulates without permission. Information finds you whether you want it or not. Veterans start using your name instead of calling you boy. Small recognition. You've proven something they consider worth proving. But you still don't know what they're really watching for. What makes someone ready for the next level? What separates those who advance from those who simply serve their time and leave? That answer waits ahead. First, you have to earn the right to hear it. Level 3, the Guardian. You stand at the entrance to the Imperial Dining Hall. 6 hours, no movement, no conversation. Your feet planted exactly shoulder width apart. Your gladius hangs at precisely the regulation angle. The marble floor reflects torchlight that flickers across your polished bronze cuirass. Your assignment is simple. Nobody enters without proper authorization. Nobody exits without your knowledge. You memorize every face that passes. You note every sound from within. You count heartbeats between the emperor's laughter and his silence. The doorway you guard leads to power, real power. You can hear conversations about grain shipments from Egypt, about legion movements in Germania, about senators whose loyalty wavers like candle flame. You hear names spoken in whispers. You hear decisions that will reshape provinces. That information stays locked behind your teeth. Your centurion explained the rules during your first week. You see nothing. You hear nothing. You remember nothing. A guardian who gossips finds himself reassigned to the Syrian frontier. A guardian who sleeps on duty finds himself nailed to wood outside the city walls. You learn to hold your bladder for 8 hours. You learn to ignore the ache that climbs from your heels to your lower back. You learn to breathe so quietly that senators forget you exist entirely. You become furniture with a pulse. The emperor's food taster collapses during the third course, poison. You watch physicians rush past you into the dining hall. You hear shouting. You hear accusations. You hear the scrape of chairs as men flee or position themselves for whatever comes next. You do not move. Your orders are clear. Guard the doorway. Nobody enters without authorization from your centurion. The emperor's life may hang in the balance 10 feet away. Senators may be plotting murder behind that door. None of that matters. You guard the doorway. 2 hours later, your centurion arrives. He nods once. You step aside. That is the correct answer. The food taster lives. The poison was weak, poorly mixed, amateur work. The emperor increases security protocols. More guardians, longer shifts. Background checks that reach 3 generations into your family history. Your pay increases to 90 denarii per month, nearly double what legionaries earn on the frontier. You can afford decent wine now, quality olive oil, a small apartment near the Campus Martius instead of shared barrack space. Your mother receives money every month. Your sister's dowry gets funded properly, but the shifts stretch longer, 10 hours, 12 hours. You stand motionless while your knees swell and your vision blurs from exhaustion. You eat cold bread between assignments because the dining schedule belongs to the emperor's whims, not your hunger. You guard doorways to rooms where your childhood friends would be executed for simply listening. You hear senators debate whether certain citizens deserve crucifixion or exile. You hear laughter about villages burned for sport. You hear casual mentions of mass executions like discussions of weather. Your silence becomes heavier than your armor. Other guardians develop techniques for staying alert. Some dig their fingernails into their palms. Others memorize poetry and recite it silently. Marcus counts backward from 1,000 in Greek. You focus on individual sounds, the scuff of sandals on marble, the whisper of silk against skin, the particular rhythm of each person's breathing. You recognize footsteps from 50 paces away. You know which senators arrive drunk and which arrive armed. You can identify the emperor's mood by how his rings click against his wine cup. This knowledge makes you valuable. This knowledge makes you dangerous. Your centurion assigns you to escort duty next month, moving targets instead of stationary ones. The emperor's public appearances, his visits to the forum, his trips to inspect construction projects throughout the city, a promotion, better pay, more responsibility, more opportunities to die. Level 4, the escort. You walk 3 steps behind Senator Marcus Flavius as he crosses the Forum Romanum at dawn. Your hand rests on your gladius hilt. Your eyes scan the crowd. But your real job is listening to every word he speaks to his companion about grain shipments that never arrived and bribes that did. The plume on your helmet catches morning light. Citizens step aside when they see it. That is the correct answer. You are Praetorian Guard now. Your bronze breastplate bears the scorpion of the guard. Your red cloak signals imperial authority. Children point, merchants bow their heads. You earn 400 denarii per month, double what legionnaires receive, triple what urban cohort soldiers make. The money feels good in your hands when you count it each month. Your family back in Gaul eats well because of it, but you also hear things now. Senator Flavius stops at the steps of the Temple of Vesta. He speaks quietly to Senator Gaius about the emperor's new tax on olive oil, how certain provinces might resist, how certain governors might be persuaded to look the other way. You stand perfectly still. Your face shows nothing. But you remember every name, every amount, every meeting place they mention. You escort senators to their homes after late Senate sessions. You walk behind them through narrow streets where their torchlight creates dancing shadows on brick walls. They speak freely because guards are furniture, invisible, necessary but not human. They forget you have ears. They forget you understand their Greek when they switch languages mid-sentence. You learn that Senator Lucius has been selling grain meant for the urban poor. You learn that Senator Gaius owes money to merchants in Alexandria who expect payment in ways that do not involve coin. You learn that 3 senators meet monthly in a private dining room to discuss which laws the emperor should never hear about. Your centurion calls you into his office after your 3rd month of escort duty. He sits behind a wooden desk covered with wax tablets. The room smells like leather and olive oil. He asks what you have observed. You recite names, dates, conversations, amounts of money, meeting locations. He writes everything down. His stylus scratches against the wax in steady rhythm. He dismisses you with a nod. That counts for something. You realize your sword is not for protecting senators from assassins. Your sword is for protecting Rome from senators. The distinction matters. It changes how you sleep. It changes how you listen. It changes what you are becoming. You escort Senator Brutus to a dinner party in the Palatine district. 12 senators gather in a house with frescoed walls depicting myths about loyal sons who killed treasonous fathers. The irony is not lost on you. You stand guard in the atrium while they dine. Their voices carry through the doorway. They discuss provinces that could be governed differently, legions that could be redirected, taxes that could disappear into private coffers instead of imperial treasuries. You memorize everything: names, numbers, plans. Your mind becomes a library of dangerous information. Each conversation you overhear is a scroll that could end lives, including your own if you forget to whom your true loyalty belongs. Your sleep grows lighter. You wake at sounds that did not used to wake you. Your hand finds your dagger before your mind identifies the noise. A cat on roof tiles, wind through shutters, footsteps that might be nothing, footsteps that might be everything. You write coded letters to your centurion using symbols he taught you. Simple marks that look like accounting notations. Each symbol represents a senator. Each number represents a type of crime. Each letter becomes evidence that could topple governments or elevate careers, depending on who reads it first. The emperor promotes you after 6 months of escort duty. Your information helped prevent a grain shortage that could have caused riots. Your listening helped identify senators who needed watching. Your silence helped protect an empire that trusts you with its secrets. You are no longer just a guard who walks behind senators. You are an investigator who walks among them. Level 5, the investigator. You wake at the 4th hour before dawn. Your hands no longer shake when you strap on your sword. The weight feels natural now. You know which doors in the city open without resistance, and which require your boot. The denunciations arrive on wax tablets. Citizens accusing neighbors, slaves pointing fingers at masters, wives turning in husbands. You read each one by oil lamp while the city sleeps. Someone heard treasonous words at a wine shop near the forum. Someone else saw a man tear down imperial notices. Another citizen claims his neighbor called the emperor mad. You memorize addresses. You study the city maps until you know every alley that leads to every door. When you move through Rome in the darkness, you move with purpose. No hesitation, no wrong turns. You have become the shadow that falls across doorways just before they splinter. Your team follows behind you. 8 men in civilian clothes carrying hidden daggers. You learn their names, but you do not use them. Names create attachments. Attachments create hesitation. Hesitation creates failure. You point and they move. That is how it works now. The first house belongs to a baker. His wife answers your knock. She sees your face and knows immediately why you have come. Her shoulders collapse. She does not ask questions. She simply points toward the back room where her husband sleeps. You nod. Your men enter. The baker wakes screaming. His children watch from the hallway as you drag him into the street. You do this work because someone must verify every accusation. The emperor's safety requires investigation. Every whisper must be traced to its source. Every rumor must be examined under pressure. You tell yourself this as you watch your men bind the baker's hands. Your questioning techniques have improved. You know how long to wait between words. You understand which silences break men faster than shouting. You have learned that hope is more effective than fear. Let them believe cooperation brings mercy. Let them confess everything while chasing that false promise. The baker tells you about the wine shop. He names 3 other men who laughed when someone called the emperor a tyrant. You write down their addresses. Your work multiplies itself. Each confession creates new targets. Each target creates new confessions. The web grows wider with every dawn raid. You return to the Castra Praetoria as the sun rises. The centurion reviews your reports. He assigns you new cases. Fresh denunciations arrive during the night. More addresses to memorize, more doors to break. The pile never shrinks. Your pay is increased. You now earn 800 denarii per month. You can afford better wine. You can eat meat twice per week. You have moved to larger quarters near the camp. Your new rooms have windows that face away from the city. You prefer not to look at the streets where you work. The other investigators respect your efficiency. You process more cases than anyone in your unit. You extract confessions faster. You deliver prisoners who arrive conscious and capable of answering questions. This matters to the centurion. Clean work earns recognition. Your hands have grown calloused from gripping rope and iron. Your hearing has sharpened. You can detect lies in a man's voice before he finishes speaking. You notice which citizens avoid eye contact when you walk through the markets. You remember faces that appear nervous in your presence. Sleep comes in short intervals. You dream about doors, endless corridors lined with entrances you must breach. You wake before each dream concludes. Your body knows to rise before the 4th hour. Your internal clock no longer requires outside guidance. The citizens you investigate disappear into the deeper chambers. You do not ask what happens in those rooms. You deliver them to the threshold and return to your quarters. Your responsibility ends when you transfer custody. What comes after belongs to others. But sometimes you hear screaming through the stone walls. Sometimes you smell smoke that does not come from cooking fires. Sometimes men you question never return to their families. You know this. You continue your work. The emperor's safety requires constant vigilance. Tomorrow brings new tablets, new accusations, new addresses to visit while the city sleeps. Level 6, the executioner. You carry the gladius with ceremonial weight now. The blade is polished to mirror brightness, sharp enough to part silk dropped across its edge. Your uniform bears the silver torque of imperial trust. The emperor's seal hangs from your belt on purple cord. You stand 3 paces behind the throne during public audiences. Close enough to strike, close enough to be struck. They call you when the trials end badly. You walk through marble corridors that echo your footsteps back like accusations. The condemned wait in cells beneath the palace, their wrists already marked with iron shackles that leave rust stains on expensive togas. Some wore those togas to dinner parties you attended. Some shared wine from your cup. Marcus Flavius sits in the corner cell, knees drawn to his chest. He commanded the 3rd cohort when you were still learning to hold formation. He taught you how to read the emperor's mood by the angle of his shoulders. Now Marcus looks up when your shadow falls across the bars. His eyes find the blade at your side. That is all the conversation you will have. The execution chamber smells of old blood and fresh lime. Stone walls weep moisture that never dries. You test the sharpness against your thumb, draw 1 drop of blood that falls to join centuries of others on the worn floor. The brazier burns with coals that cast dancing shadows. Iron tools hang from hooks, each one polished clean and ready. You do not speak during the final walk. Your footsteps and theirs echo in rhythm down the stone passage. Some prisoners weep, some pray to gods who stopped listening years ago. Some meet your eyes and nod once, soldier to soldier. Those are the hardest. Those are the ones who understand what duty costs. Marcus kneels without being told. His back is straight, chin raised. You position the blade at the base of his skull where the spine meets the skull bone. 1 precise angle. 1 clean stroke. The technique they taught you in training, practiced on straw dummies until your arms ached. Now you use it on men who taught you that same technique. The emperor watches sometimes. He stands in the shadow of the doorway, purple robes untouchable in the torchlight. His face reveals nothing. You have learned to read nothing as approval, nothing as command. When the deed is done, he turns and walks away. His sandals whisper against stone. You clean the blade alone. Your quarters have expanded again. Marble floors instead of packed earth. A window that overlooks the palace gardens where senators' wives walk in the morning sun. You own 3 slaves now, men who sharpen your weapons and tend your armor. They speak in whispers when they think you cannot hear. They cross themselves when they clean the gladius. The pay comes in gold ore, each coin bearing the emperor's profile in raised relief. You stack them in wooden chests that grow heavier each month. More money than your father saw in his lifetime of farming. More than your brothers will ever touch, working their plots of barley and wheat. You send none of it home. They would not want gold that bought their son this particular honor. Sleep comes in fragments now. You wake at the sound of footsteps that aren't there, voices calling names you try to forget. The brazier coals glow red behind your closed eyes. Your hands remember the weight of the blade, the slight resistance as it parts flesh and bone. Your muscles know the motion even when your mind refuses to recall it. Other guards avoid your gaze in the corridors. They step aside when you pass, press themselves against the walls like you carry plague. You eat alone in chambers that grow quieter each day. The emperor's trust has made you untouchable, literally untouchable. Even whores turn away when they see the silver torque around your neck. Tomorrow, they bring you another name, another former friend, another lesson in the price of imperial service. You sharpen the blade and wait for the footsteps in the corridor that signal another ending, another beginning, another step towards something that feels less like advancement and more like descent into a place where honor and horror wear the same face. Level 7, the centurion. You wear the transverse crest. The horsehair runs left to right across your helmet, not front to back like the men below you. Everyone knows what it means. You have killed centurions. You have killed tribunes. You have killed senators who thought their bloodline made them untouchable. The crest is not decoration. It is evidence. Your quarters sit in the officers' section of the Castra Praetoria. Stone walls. A brazier that actually warms the room. A slave who brings you wine that does not taste like vinegar. You have arrived. The same arrival you have watched other men achieve, then watched them die for it. Your turn now. You command 80 men across 4 contuberniae. Each contubernium holds 8 soldiers who share a tent, share rations, share the kind of silence that comes after you have held a man down while someone else opens his throat. These are not recruits. These are not even regular guardsmen. These are the ones who survived their first 5 years. The ones who sleep with their gladius under their pillow and wake up swinging. Your vine staff is carved from oak, 2 fingers thick, heavy enough to crack bone. You use it daily, not for discipline, for reminders. A tap on the shoulder means listen. A tap on the chest means think. A strike across the back means you have forgotten what unit you serve. The men understand the language. They speak it back to you with their eyes. The tribunus militum calls you to morning briefings in his private office. Maps spread across a table carved from Lebanese cedar. He points to locations around Roma. You nod. You take notes on wax tablets. You do not ask questions about why these particular houses need watching. You do not ask about the names he speaks in whispers. You write down addresses. You write down schedules. You write down which doors are locked and which are not. Your century draws special assignments. Palace guard during sensitive ceremonies. Personal escort for visiting dignitaries who may not leave Roma alive. Crowd control during gladiatorial games when certain outcomes have been predetermined. You position your men. You give hand signals. Things happen exactly as planned. No one discusses what those things were. The pay reflects your position. 15,000 sestertii per year. Enough for a small villa outside the city. Enough for a wife who does not ask about the stains on your equipment. Enough for children who learn not to ask why father sometimes sits in the garden, staring at nothing for hours at a time. You send money to your mother. You tell her you are doing well. Both statements are true. Your men look to you for decisions that have no good answers. The young one with the nervous hands asks if the family they questioned last night deserved what happened. You explain that desert has nothing to do with orders. Orders come from the emperor. The emperor speaks for the gods. You follow orders. That is the correct answer. The young one nods. His hands stop shaking. You have successfully passed poison down the chain. Sleep comes in fragments. 2 hours here, 1 hour there. You dream of faces you do not recognize but somehow remember. They speak to you in languages you do not understand but somehow know. You wake before dawn. You check your weapons. You dress in the darkness. Another day serving the man who decides who lives and who disappears. The armor fits perfectly now. The leather has molded to your shoulders. The bronze has taken on the patina that comes from daily use. You look like what you are. A professional killer in service to the state. The mirror shows you a stranger wearing your face. You have learned not to look too long. Your vine staff taps against your leg as you walk through the barracks. The men straighten when they see you coming. They have learned to read the weather in your expression. Today is overcast with a chance of violence. Always is. Level 8, the tribune. You wear the broad purple stripe now. The tunic costs more than most soldiers see in 5 years. Your hands are soft. Your scars have faded to thin white lines that make for good stories at dinner parties you never wanted to attend. The war council meets at dawn. You sit 3 chairs from the general, close enough to matter, far enough to survive if things go wrong. Maps spread across polished oak, territories marked in red ink. Each mark represents 1,000 deaths, maybe 10,000. The servant refills your wine cup. You nod. That is the correct answer. General Marcus traces supply lines with his finger. His nail is perfectly manicured. He has never carried his own pack. You calculate grain requirements for the march to Dacia. 40,000 men. 60 days. The mathematics of hunger. Someone mentions casualties, acceptable losses. You write the numbers. Your handwriting is beautiful now, educated. Nothing like the scratches you carved into wood 15 years ago. You command 6 centuries directly, 360 men, their names blur together: Gaius Flavius, Marcus Antonius, Lucius Valerius, Roman names for Roman boys who will die Roman deaths. You approve their leave requests. You sign their death benefits. Your signature appears on both documents for the same soldier within a month. This happens more than you expected. The emperor summons you to private audiences now. You stand behind the curtain while he receives foreign ambassadors. Germanic chieftains with unwashed hair and honest eyes. They offer tribute, territory, their daughters. The emperor strokes his beard and considers which offer serves Rome best, which serves him best. The distinction matters less each year. You take notes, you remember everything. That is why you are still alive. Your villa overlooks the Campus Martius. 12 rooms, garden courtyard with imported marble. Slaves who know your preferences. Hot bath drawn at the same hour daily. Your wife wears silk that costs more than a legionnaire's annual pay. She complains about the neighbors. Their parties are too loud. Their slaves are poorly trained. She has forgotten what poorly trained looks like. You have not. Combat feels theoretical now. You drill with wooden swords twice a week. Supervised exercise with selected opponents who know better than to win. Your muscles remember the movements. Your reflexes remain sharp, sharp enough for ceremonial duty, sharp enough for assassination if the target is unprepared. Not sharp enough for honest war against men who want to kill you. You know this. Everyone knows this. No one speaks it. The conspiracies reach your level now. Senators whisper in marble hallways about replacing the emperor, about restoring the republic, about glory days that never existed the way they remember them. They approach you carefully, test your loyalty with careful questions, hypothetical scenarios. You give careful answers, hypothetical support. Everyone understands the game. No one trusts anyone. That is how you survive. Your son turns 16 next month. He wants to join the guard, serve Rome, earn honor, follow your path. You watch him practice sword work in the garden. His form is excellent. His heart is eager. His eyes shine with purpose. You lost somewhere between the second conspiracy you helped plan and the third emperor you helped bury. You will sign his enlistment papers. You will smile. You will tell him stories about honor and duty. Some of them might even be true. The prefect sends for you after the evening meal. Private conference, urgent matter. You dress carefully. Check your dagger twice. Kiss your wife goodbye. She tastes like wine and worry. The streets of Rome gleam under torchlight, beautiful and deadly. Everything here is beautiful. Everything here is deadly. The carriage wheels click against stone. Steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Like footsteps marching towards something that cannot be stopped. You arrive at the prefect's private residence. Guards at every entrance. Men you trained. Men who would kill you if ordered. Men who know you would do the same. That understanding creates a strange sort of peace. Level 9, the Praetorian Prefect. You command 9,000 soldiers from an office that overlooks the Campus Martius. The walls are lined with maps of every province, marked with the positions of every legion. Your desk holds correspondence from governors who know your name carries more weight than their titles. You wear the purple striped toga of senatorial rank, but the real power rests in the bronze seal you carry. One impression in warm wax can recall a legion from Germania or execute a senator by dawn. Your morning begins with reports from centurions who once stood guard beside you. Now they bring intelligence about threats you never imagined when you held a shield. Whispers from the palace kitchens. Strange visitors to certain senators' homes. Gold moving through hands that should not hold it. You listen to everything. You forget nothing. Your memory has become Rome's most dangerous weapon. The emperor summons you 3 times each day. Morning briefings where you stand while he sits. Afternoon strategy sessions where maps spread across marble tables like wounds. Evening consultations that stretch past midnight when wine loosens tongues and reveals intentions. He asks your opinion about governors, about senators, about his own family members. Your words shape the fate of men who rule millions. That responsibility sits in your chest like a stone that grows heavier each year. You maintain residences in 3 different districts. Security protocols require you never sleep in the same bed twice in a row. Your food comes from rotating kitchens, prepared by cooks who know their families depend on your continued breathing. Even your barber changes weekly. Trust has become a luxury you cannot afford. The price of power is the constant awareness that someone wants to take it from you. Your marriage exists in letters exchanged between houses you rarely visit. Your wife manages estates you inherited through positions you earned with other men's blood. She writes about harvests and slaves and repairs needed for villas you may never see again. You write back about deployments and budgets and politics that would put her in danger if she understood them fully. Love becomes administration. Intimacy becomes correspondence. Younger officers seek your patronage with gifts and flattery that once would have impressed you. Now you see the calculations behind every gesture. The tribune, who mentions his sister's availability for marriage. The centurion, who offers information about his commanding officer's debts. The prefect, who suggests joint business ventures in Egyptian grain. Everyone wants something. Everyone has something to offer. You navigate these exchanges like a general moving through a minefield. The palace guards, who once shared your watch, now snap to attention when you approach. Their eyes hold the respect reserved for men who control their advancement, their assignments, their survival. Some served beside you in Germania, fighting Cherushi warriors in forests that bled Roman eagles. Now they guard doors while you decide which doors lead to execution and which lead to elevation. The bonds forged in combat cannot survive the weight of absolute authority. You sleep 4 hours each night. Your dreams replay conversations from 20 years ago, searching for signs you missed, words that meant more than their surface suggested. You wake knowing that somewhere in the city, men gather in rooms you do not know about, speaking words you do not hear, planning actions you cannot predict. Your power depends on knowing everything. Your survival depends on anticipating what you cannot know. The Senate still meets, still debates, still passes resolutions that emperors pretend to consider. You watch from galleries where your presence reminds everyone that their words reach ears that never forget. Senators who once commanded provinces now seek your approval for legislation about aqueduct maintenance. The transformation humiliates them. That humiliation serves Rome. That service costs them their dignity. They pay willingly. Your uniform bears decorations earned in battles whose names echo through the city. Your reputation rests on victories celebrated with triumphs you helped plan. But your real authority flows from fear. Fear that you might speak a word in the wrong ear. Fear that you might withdraw your protection. Fear that your attention might turn towards secrets that powerful men prefer to keep buried. The cycle continues. Level 10, the kingmaker. You stand in the purple tent where the blood pools around your sandals. The previous Caesar lies face down on the marble floor, 3 wounds in his back from your blade. His bodyguards are dead, his advisors fled. The tent flaps blow in the wind, and you can hear the legion stirring in the distance, asking questions. You have 1 hour before they discover what happened. The purple cloak weighs nothing now. You strip it from the corpse and fold it carefully. This is the 3rd emperor you have killed. Each time gets easier. Each time gets harder. Your hands do not shake anymore when you draw steel. Your sleep disappeared years ago. The leather dispatch pouch contains the names. Senators who paid, generals who promised, wealthy patricians who whispered the right words to the right praetoriani over wine and gold. You unfold the papyrus and read each name by lamplight. These are your options for the next Caesar. Marcus Aurelius Severus commands the 5th Legion. He promised to triple your stipend and grant land to every guard who survives the transition. His messengers brought silver ingots wrapped in silk. He also sent word that he knows which guards killed the last emperor. Insurance, he called it. Gaius Flavius Maximus controls the grain supply. He offered to make your position hereditary. Your sons would inherit your rank, your power, your protection. He also knows your real name. The one you abandoned when you took the oath 23 years ago. He knows where you came from. Lucius Cornelius Felix owns the largest private army in Gaul. He pledged to expand the guard to 3,000 men and make you their supreme prefect. He would also need you to eliminate certain senators who oppose his claim. The list contains 47 names. Some are your friends. You choose Marcus Aurelius Severus. The messengers ride out before dawn. Gold coins change hands in dark corners of the camp. Centurions who ask too many questions find themselves reassigned to distant postings. The story spreads that the emperor died of sudden illness. The physicians nod and prepare the proper documents. They always do. 3 days later, you stand beside the new Caesar as he addresses the Senate. He wears the purple well. He speaks of duty and honor and the glory of Rome. His voice carries confidence. His eyes find yours twice during the speech. Each glance lasts exactly long enough to remind you what he knows. That night, he summons you to his private chambers. The conversation is brief. He thanks you for your service. He mentions your family by name, though you never told him you had one. He describes your villa outside Rome in perfect detail, down to the olive trees you planted last spring. He knows which Praetoriani supported his rise. He knows which ones hesitated. He asks if you enjoy your position. You tell him you serve at his pleasure. He smiles and dismisses you. Your quarters feel smaller now. The marble walls press closer. Outside your window, the torches burn along the palace walls, and you count them like you counted breaths during your first night as a guard recruit, 20 years ago. 30, the years blur together now. The new Caesar will try to kill you within a month. They always do. You represent proof of how emperors really die. You know too much. You have too much power. You have killed 3 Caesars, and everyone knows it, even if they pretend otherwise. You begin planning his death before he finishes planning yours. Your blade needs sharpening. Your allies need reminding about their debts. The next list of candidates needs reviewing. The purple tent needs fresh sand to soak up whatever comes next. Tomorrow, a 17-year-old farmer's son from Gaul will arrive at the gates of Rome. He carries a letter of recommendation from a distant uncle who served in the legions. He dreams of wearing the crimson cloak and serving the eternal city. He believes in honor and duty and the glory of empire. He has no idea what is coming. The cycle continues.